Okay, everybody. Hopefully, everyone is enjoying the extended weekend. Today is January 19, 2015. This video, we're going to take a look at the market and then some of the momentum stocks. So let's start off with looking at the market and start looking at the Dow Jones Industrial. We see the Dow Jones Industrial got a little bounce after a 5-day losing streak, and got a bounce up to this trend line here. And right now, if there's a continuation, we want to see, can it get back, above this particular trend line, this downtrend line here? And I want to see how the price will react when it get up to this point, and could it break out of that? If it could, then we may be looking at it, might be trying to come back up here and start putting a higher high if it could break above this level. But if it failed to even get back up to this trend line, let's say it just come up to this particular trend line and start roll over again, then break this, the September high, then we will be, probably in a little bit of a serious trouble here with the market, and most likely we'll see it come down and retest this December low. So that'd be a key level to watch. So right now we want to see, is there some kind of follow through from last Friday's little bit of a bounce, and it could be easily just a dead cat bounce. So we'll probably get maybe 1 or 2 days, and then start coming back down here. And then it's also this particular December low is pretty much in confluence with this 200-day moving average. And if we can't hold this December low, then the chances are we probably will see this level being tested, somewhere around here at this 16,375 area, and then also this the October low down here at the 15,800 and change. Then on the the S&P 500, again, the S&P 500 also followed the general market, essentially, broke the losing streak and came up. And similarly to the Dow Jones Industrial, what the key point to watch here is essentially it's also in confluence with a 78.6 on this Fibonacci retracement here. Remember, we were looking at this 618, and we were saying that how it came down to 618 and got a little bounce, or got close to it. So once again, we saw that 618 came into play on Friday, so we got a little bounce. So right now, again, we're basically looking at this particular trend line here to see kind of penetrate above this trend line and work its way back up here to take out this high and put in a higher high. And if you can't do that, if it failed to even get to this point, again, we're basically looking at the the December low as one of the critical support level that they need to hold. And if we break that, then we're basically looking at these low right here, this pivot low down here, on near these 1906 and then the 1820, the October low. Although we got a little bit of a pivot low here at the 1965, 1967, there seems to be some talk about that, and I think most of the people were talking about it because of the 200-day moving average, and that's also a little bit of in confluence with the December low. So it might kind of overshoot this coming down on the December low, and maybe come down and test this 200-day moving average for those people that is watching these these moving averages, and we might get a bounce there, but it's nothing guaranteed. If you look at here, it doesn't do anything. It just went right to it, so it doesn't mean a 200-day moving average is always actually support or resistant. It just happened to be there at a certain time. So, and then here's the NASDAQ 100. You see the NASDAQ 100 again, came down and got a little bounce on the 618. So that this too is looking at to see could it get back up to this 4208, 4209, essentially at this trend line here. Again, we want to see this pivot high here to be taken out to form a higher high before we could say this low, maybe a pullback, a correction, or whatever one want to call that is completed, and maybe work yourself back up and try to put in a new new multi-year high. But right now, the critical point is again, this 4069, 4070 level, and if you can't hold this level, then most likely we'll probably see it come back down and test these level down here at this 4041, and likely come down and fill this gap. It's also in confluence with this low here, somewhere around 3857, and then we'll see how it react when it come down to this gap, and we could also see this coming down. We test this October low 3700. So again, there is a little confluence here on this 200-day moving average on the 38.2 on this Fibonacci retracement, so that could be a point of interest. If it come down and watch this level, maybe we get a little bounce there. Okay, and then finally on the Russell 2000, this too is also, we got the 618 in play. You see the 618 came down and bounced, and again, just like all the other indices that we already looked at, this pivot here at the 78.6, and that would be the trend line here. So we need to take out this particular level here. If we can't take out this level, again, we're basically looking at come back down to test the December low. And then if it can't hold that, then we're probably looking at this particular low here, which is, back in August, somewhere around this 1115 level. And then here's the October low, the 1040, 1041. Okay, so that's the market. So right now, we might see another day of bouncing up and down, because this week there's earnings season will get kicked off. We got Netflix going to report after the close tomorrow, and then we have the ECB, all these other stuff. So there's certainly going to be some volatility coming into the market. So got to be careful on that and watch these level before we make a commitment on one way or another, because right now the market is still pretty choppy. Okay, so let's start off with looking at the Apple. Apple, we see that Apple is coming down on this channel here, and it's trying to hold this 106. Okay, if it breaks this 106, we're still talking about watching this 103. This 103 could be in play, because also this channel here, we got this lower trend line. And if we break that 103, most likely it's going to come down and test this lower boundary on this channel here. Okay, and if we can't hold this 103, we're going to fill this gap and come down, might test this 95.18. So this is the simplest way to look at it right now on Apple, right? Because we have this trend line here. We're looking at this particular trend line at one time, right? This trend line here, and it broke that trend line. And then we say, okay, maybe we'll look at this trend line. So right now it seems to be holding at this trend line. So if we break that 106, then this 103 will definitely come into play. And then we want to watch this price gap, and then this 95, okay? So got to be careful on Apple right now. We still want to see if Apple could, bounce off of this and come back up to possibly to this trend line here, okay? So you got a little confluence here also. So you got to keep an eye on that, and then you got all these moving average coming down. So we got to watch out. I think right now Apple is in a little bit of a correction here coming down. I think a lot of the earning projection, a lot of the expectation of a blowout earning and that sort of thing is probably have built in up here, and that's where the profit has been taken. Okay, so even though if Apple come up with good earning, maybe it's just gonna get a little bit of a pop, but we'll see. I mean, anything could happen, right? I mean, Apple was always kind of surprise everybody when you least expect it. So let's just keep an eye on it, because right now that 106 is the key level right now. And if it can't hold this 103, it's definitely going to be in play. And if it could come back, then we're probably watching, this level here, maybe at 110, 111, on this upward trend line here. So those are the levels to keep an eye on right now. And then on Alibaba, we got this little trend line coming down on this price channel, this declining price channel. We're keeping an eye on this IPO high for a while, this 99.70. And you see that it broke this 99.70, and it came down, and it came down and touches this lower price channel here on a closing basis, basically showing this trend line on a closing basis. So we might get a little bit of a bounce if we could bounce back up to the IPO high here, this 99.70, then maybe we could see it, get back up to this upper trend line and possibly maybe see could it take out this 105 level here to take out the, the previous pivot high and try to, reverse the trend and start making a higher high. But if we can't do that, then most likely we're probably going to come down and test these, these price level on the day of the IPO, which is the closing price, right? The closing price of 92.89, and that's also sort of confluence with this trend line here. So if we get a little bounce here, and then come back down, then maybe those are the level that we'll be watching, the 93.89, and also the opening price on that IPO day. The day of IPO is 92.70. So those are the prices that we probably want to keep an eye on. Okay, right now we want to see if Alibaba could get back up to above that 99.70. And if it can't even get above that 99.70, that would be very, very negative for Alibaba. That means the seller is getting much more aggressive here to take this thing down. Then most likely we'll see lower prices, and then these prices probably will get tested. You know, the IPO price of 93.89 and 92.70. Okay, and I put up a chart on Netflix. I'm not going to talk too much about Netflix because you know, Netflix is due for earning tomorrow after the close, so it's, anything could happen. You know, I usually don't trade to earnings. So, but the option market is pricing it to move somewhere around plus or minus 11%, and based on the last Friday's close of 337.34, they kind of projected up to somewhere around 373, 301. You know, the up and down level here. So you know, trade at your own risk because you know, anything is possible. But these are some of the level that I've been watching on Netflix under normal circumstances. So, but I will do a post-earning analysis after Netflix have posted earning, because right now anything that I said, it doesn't make much sense because you know, earning could just throw it out of whack one way or the other. So right now, basically just you know, kind of watching these level and then see how it react. Okay. And on Facebook, we saw it broke down this trend line here. Okay, this trend line based on the post-earning gap. Right, the earning gap here on this trend line. If we look at the weekly price chart here, you can see how it sort of been hugging around that trend line on a support level, and we finally broke that last week. And so that right now is kind of tell us be a little bit cautious about you know, Facebook. And right now we're basically looking at to see could it hold this 92. I mean this 73.33, which is this pivot close here, this low here. Okay, again, you know, want to see can it come back up and penetrate above this trend line here, and maybe make it back up to this 78.62 level here to take out this you know, this high and reverse the trend by putting up a higher high. But if it can't do that, let's say it roll back and break this 73.33, then definitely, you know, this gap level here, support level 71.33 will back in play, and which is also in confluence with a 200-day moving average. So a lot of people probably looking at that 71 level, and if we break that, then the next level will be 68.06, somewhere around this, you know, this pivot high here. So right now, you know, Facebook is kind of in a little bit of a trouble. So basically, I have to watch to see how it break. You know, if it could, you know, hold the 73.33. Again, you know, earning is due not this week but next week. So I have to be careful on your timing about trading the stock more during earnings season, because anything is possible, and they just move this thing around. So good luck on try to trade these momentum stock during earnings season. It's always a little bit tricky. Okay. Then on Twitter is also you know, try to get back above this 38.92. We thought it might be making a go at it to come back up to this 43. You know, doing this particular price action here, and once it broke above this 38.92 last time, it made a little bit of a move, and then it failed to hold it, and now it's broken down and coming back below it again. And it seems like it might be forming a bear flag. If this is the case, then watch these this break on this trend line here. If we break this you know, trend line, then most likely we probably will see a little bit of downside. And if I go and do some projected move here, if we go through this, let's you know, get a little projection or measure move, and it's on the 80% level, then essentially we're talking about maybe coming back down to this pivot low here, somewhere around its 32, 33 level, and if on a 100% measure move, probably getting back down to this low here. Okay, the you know, it's all-time low on 30, you know, somewhere around this 30.44, 30.50 here. So Twitter doesn't look too good right now, so we got to be careful. Watch how this flag gonna hold, or this little channel, and maybe get a bounce and then come back up. And if it could, you know, trend up on this uptrend and take out this 200-day moving average, because it's also got a little bit of a confluence with this 200-day moving average coming down. That's somewhere around this 41.65 level. So I think the key here for Netflix for Twitter is to get back above this 43 level. If it can't come back up at this 43 level, I think the risk is more on the downside. Okay. And then Tesla been kind of weak, and on this price channel here, been looking at this price channel and looking at this 177 on this low here, and it seems like it's working its way toward that particular level here, and that's also in confluence with the lower trend line on this price channel. Okay, so because we could also see, it is going against this trend line. So if it come back up to this particular trend line here, let's say it could move back up here and it's come back down, then that might happen. But still, I think until it reverses itself and be able to take out this pivot high here, I think Tesla is still pretty negative in terms of the the sentiment. I think there's more downside for Tesla. We have to see what happens when it get down to this point here. Okay, see, could we get a little bounce? And if we get a bounce, maybe it could work itself up back up to this upper trend line. Okay, so but for now, I think I would just be hand off on this Tesla, because if you try to short this thing, then you're basically looking at the potential of maybe getting down to the 180, or it might be come up and fill this gap here. So I think the risk and reward is basically at a low, no man's land right now. So I'd be probably just kind of hold off. And if you're holding short on it, definitely, it seems like it's gonna, have a little bit more downside. But once it fills this gap and get up to this trend line, then I'll probably be looking at the possibility of maybe reshorting this thing if it starts to roll over, or if it break above that and it come back and test this trend line, then maybe might take a quick long and string it up to see could it get up above this upper trend line. But for now, basically just sit and watch. Okay. And then here's Amazon. Amazon, we talked about this descending triangle for a while. Right, this big descending triangle, and we're looking at this baseline here, somewhere around this 284 level. So right now it's touching that. I'm not sure it's going to get a little bounce or not. The next level of possible support, if we break that, is probably these pivot low here. That's 279 level here. If we do get a bounce, again, we're going to see how strong that bounce is. If the bounce is only going to come up here, right, and then come back down, that means the seller is getting a little bit more aggressive. But if we do get a bounce and it bounce up, let's say get above this particular pivot, then maybe we could see Amazon might be come up and try to attack this declining trend line up here. So right now, basically just kind of have to keep a watch on this and see how it's going to do, because I think Amazon is also scheduled for earning next week, but not this week. I think on the 29th. I'm not quite sure, but I know it's sometime next week. So again, be aware of those earning date when you trade these momentum stock, because things could be pretty erratic. Okay. And here's Google. Google been kind of weak for quite a while. We've been looking at that. Also got a little wedge here that I joined. For those people that's looking at these wedges. In order for it, maybe it could bounce up and get up to this wedge here. But certainly it doesn't look like it's going to break out of this wedge until we get up to this trend line here and then see what the price action is. Because right now it seems like it wants to come down and retest this 487. And if we break that 487, most likely they're going to come down and fill this gap and maybe even get down to this 421 level here on these pivot low. So right now we just kind of keep an eye on Google, because again, it's pretty tricky right now, the market, to play either on the downside or the upside, because it's kind of in a little bit what we call an inflection point. It could go one way or the other. But the thing is, we do not have a clear trend direction of if it reverses or what it really, getting these bounce doesn't mean that it is actually reversing direction, or it's just a little bit of an oversold or a dead cat bounce. So, but if you want to go short, then you're getting too close to some of these support level that could easily get a strong bounce off of that, then you might get trapped on the short and get short squeeze. So that's why I think right now the best position is probably in a cash or sitting on the sideline and just kind of wait for the dust to settle, especially during earnings season, and then let things play itself out, and until we get a clear sign of which way some of these stock in the market have decided to go for the next maybe a few weeks to a month, then we look for a setup on either the long or the short side. So basically that's the look at the stock in the market. Hopefully you enjoying your extended weekend. For those that is getting today, it's off. And good luck to you on your next week.